Well, welcome to New Year's Eve sit on a night of a beautiful full moon. So just to let people know, we had the first day of the 2-day New Year's sit today, which doesn't always fall on Sunday, but it did today, so just letting you know that's why there are not very many people here this evening, I think, because many were here all day and are probably planning to be here tomorrow, beginning at 9 and ending at 4. What's that?
End at 3:30 and then the refuge will close.
Oh, okay. We're ending at 3:30 and then the refuge ceremony will start at 4. So the refuge ceremony, and I'm saying this in part for the people here, but also for streaming, it's quite appropriate to renew your refuge if you've already got refuge. The teachings say that can purify all the ways you haven't been able to keep you take refuge, say I'm a Buddhist, then you set out on a path, and all the ways that you may not have been able to keep the 4 immeasurables in your mind constantly, the 4 thoughts as your basis, and on. So it's quite a good thing to come simply to renew your refuge, as well as to take it. And anyone listening who wants to take refuge, it would be good to let probably Linda Grove or myself know, so we can pass that on to Lama Michael so he will know. So again, for those who are new or listening, my name is Zopa, and I'm one of the associate teachers here. And tonight we will do our usual practice in the evening, which is about 45 minutes of guided sitting. We'll take a very teeny short and bathroom break because there's only half a dozen of us here. And then if people want to stay and do a Q&A, that'd be great. Any practice questions you have, and we can just play it by ear from this moment. So we always start our practices with a recitation which orients us toward refuge and bodhicitta. So one of the ways into this is to take a moment and simply think in terms of the word refuge, whatever that word means to you. Why did you come here tonight? Whatever your answer might be, and of course there's no one answer, no right answer, no wrong answer. In general, you might find a sense that as we live our lives in the busy world of distraction and attractions and aversions, complexity, confusion, it's quite difficult to find what's called a reliable refuge. Reliable. That is in the sense of constancy. Whenever you turn to that source of refuge, there's no tricks, no swift changes, no chair pulled out from under you. No sense of, I liked you today, but I don't like you tomorrow. So it's different from all the, what are called the worldly concerns, gain and loss, pain and pleasure, reputation, praise, blame. It's different from all those things. The Buddhist refuge. It's refuge in reliable sources such as the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. Lama Michael mentioned more than once today on our first day of New Year's retreat that when we take refuge in the Buddha, in essence, there are many ways you can think about that, experience it. But one of the most potent is that we're actually taking refuge in our own indelible, inherent Buddha nature, inherent in the sense of within us and cannot be destroyed. Our difficulty is that, of course, we may not even believe that as we say it or hear it. Even we believe it or think it's probably true, most of us don't experience it on a consistent basis. So that leads us to one of the next sources of refuge, the Dharma. That is all the teachings on the path, but it's also pure wisdom and compassion. All the practices. Studying, contemplating, meditating, experiencing, all that, the Dharma, which can lead us, and for probably countless beings has led them to realize their full Buddha nature, and therefore be a source of incredible nourishment, wisdom, compassion for all other beings. When we take refuge in the Sangha, that can have several levels also. The Sangha, these folks right here, just look around. Or you can think of who cleaned the room, donated the sound system, helped prepare the building. This is the lay Sangha. And we can take refuge in that. In fact, we are, because we're here. We're relying upon it. We also can take refuge in the monastic Sangha in the sense of, in general, these are people who have decided that 24/7 they will practice the Dharma without having to deal with houses, families, jobs. So in a certain way, that's quite a commitment. And we can take refuge that there are people doing that. So they often have extra time to study, contemplate, meditate, and use it that way. And the Arya Sangha are those beings who have, they're on the path so far along that they have realized the truth of how things are. They won't slip back from that. So they've reached what's called the path of seeing, and then beyond. It's not quite full Buddhahood, but it's a state from which the mind does not slip back, simply works to go forward. So that's it's one way to describe the exalted Arya Sangha. And certainly we could take refuge in beings like that. And then our prayer that we are about to say is that we're going to do this practice of calm abiding to release all beings. This is the part of our prayer that's talking about bodhicitta, the awakened mind. And I wanted to just read a few scriptural descriptions of bodhicitta. This comes from one of my favorite Buddhist prayer books called Pearl of Wisdom by my teacher, Venerable Thupten Chödrön. And these are Mahayana scriptures. Let's see. What are the sources here? Okay. So a few of these are from, these first ones are from Shantideva's Guide to Bodhisattva Way of Life. Bodhicitta, those who wish to crush the abundant miseries of conditioned existence, that's what we're experiencing, who wish to dispel the adversities of sentient beings, and who yearn to experience a myriad of joys, should never forsake bodhicitta. It is the supreme ambrosia that overcomes the sovereignty of death. It is the inexhaustible treasure that eliminates all poverty in the world. It's the supreme medicine that quells the world's disease. It's the tree that shelters all beings wandering and tired on the path of conditioned existence. It's the universal bridge that leads to freedom from unhappy states of birth. It's the dawning moon of the mind that dispels the torment of disturbing concepts. It's a great sun that finally removes the misty ignorance of the world. It's the quintessential butter from the churning of the milk of Dharma. So this is pretty high praise. What does it mean, though, that says the wonderful quality of it? But this next is kind of a reference to how do we develop bodhicitta? Also Shantideva. Whatever joy there is in this world comes from desiring others to be happy. Whatever suffering there is in this world comes from desiring only myself to be happy. So this is a big piece of the bodhisattva mind, the focus on the freedom and end of suffering of all beings. And the more we open our minds to others, we can experience there's kind of some kind of joy that rises in us. So it's not like, oh, it's them or me. I have to focus on one or the other. It simply doesn't seem to work that way. Seems like some of my happiest times, and you can check this with yourself, are when I find a way to give someone something that they need that makes them happy. I find myself happy. And I find myself happier than when I set out to make myself happy. And I think that's what that verse is saying. So with those in mind, let's do this recitation. Do you, Michael, need a prayer? Do you know it? You might want this so you can follow along with us. Okay.
Until the summit of enlightenment is reached, I and all beings go for refuge to the sources of true refuge. I will now practice the absorption of calm abiding in order to release all beings from their particular suffering and establish them in lasting peace and happiness. Until the summit of enlightenment is reached, I and all beings go for refuge to the sources of true refuge. I will now practice the absorption of calm abiding in order to release from their particular suffering and establish them in lasting peace and happiness. Until the summit of enlightenment is reached, I and all beings go for refuge to the sources of true refuge. I will now practice the absorption of calm abiding in order to release all beings from their particular suffering and establish them in lasting peace and happiness.
As Lama shared today, one of the most, and maybe he even said the most important quality to be developing in our calm abiding practice is to relax. To relax our body, then to relax it some more. Not as though we're going to go to sleep, but simply letting go of tensions. So you can scan your body, head to foot, and wherever you find tension, you can move it a little. Let it go with no story about it. One of my teachers used to also say, relax the emotions. I thought that was interesting. Relax any emotion that you have. Just relax it. Relax the mind. There's nothing to plan right now. There's nothing in particular to remember. Then you can come to the breath if that's helpful for you, or any object. And just notice that. We can put some energy into noticing that. Not forced, just intent, attention, intention. And then when the mind goes off, as it inevitably will, just notice that. And bring the mind back gently, persistently, precisely. When the Buddha taught this, he said, my monks, when they breathe in, they know they are breathing in. When they breathe out, they know they are breathing out. When their breath is short, they know they have taken a short breath. When their breath is long, they know they have taken a long breath. And that sutra is the beginning of people using the breath as an anchor for calm abiding. So we'll just proceed in this way, easily, relaxedly. Whenever you see that the mind has wandered, just bring it back. No story, no judgment. check where your mind is. Bring it back to your object, if that's the breath or whatever. And then relax. Relax the effort. Move the body a little, if you like. Again, check in on the placement of your mind. It's good right before the break or a break to feel a sense of being able to do the practice. Have confidence that you can place your mind, even for a moment, where you want it. And then take a relaxed break. Kate.
By this virtue may I quickly realize Mahamudra and establish all beings without exception in this state.
So let's take a very short tea break, maybe even just get tea and come back for discussion, questions. Thank you.